outside. Good evening, everyone. Congratulations. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Vicky.
Commissioner Scola,
Here.
Commissioner Van Alstine,
Here.
Commissioner Hellman,
Here.
Commissioner Rubin,
Here.
Commissioner Heffernan.
Here. Thank you.
Any public comment?
Well,
John?
good. Are other people allowed to give their time if they don't want to speak up here and they want to give it to me? Is that,
No, I'd prefer they use their own time, John.
oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, good for you. But also I want to let people know to go outdoors and look up at this siding here again to see how lovely it is holding up, that black stuff. Just go right up to the building and then look up and you'll see it's oxidizing or something's happening to us. Bunch of junk, and for not spending $1 million from what I hear, that's what we get. And I'm sure that everything else is gonna be built properly too. I see you've got survey stakes out there for a footprint of the up and coming project. And I think that would fit perfectly, Terry, down across from Meadowbrook. And you said you can't bore there, or you have borings down there, you can't build there, but you have the animal shelter there. And there's no standing water there at all. They don't even have the ball diamonds. I don't know if you went down all the way down to the back of it and got your borings there, but I think it could be built there. And I think people would be happy too, because this property in town here is very valuable. And this building's not gonna pay any taxes. It's not gonna promote any type of interest for this city. And over there you already have Tractor Supply and the clinic, I believe, tied into the system that's right across from Meadowbrook. And you look at Gateways over here, and they certainly were able to build, and it's overflowed already with all the water that came the last couple of days. Something I think that should be considered. And then going back to the voting, I saw the last Antrim review that it was a 5.2% difference from yes and no's. That would mean at 52, the other one would be 47 and half around that. And who it's not who votes, it's who council votes, according to what Stalin said. And then I did send you all a report about these machines and that they have software in it. And I have a picture of the software that's in these machines that can be hacked. And so I'm thinking that this election probably wasn't what it was supposed to be. People are told one thing and then something else happens. You have to have 3 votes to get this through. And if people knew that there was probably what I heard 80 acres down there across from Meadowbrook that could be built on, I think they would be more happy about that than putting this huge project here in downtown Bel Air. And it would be more beneficial too for even the people that are incarcerated. They could have a garden out back, they could rehabilitate instead of being just in an area that is confining them to this wonderful new project that you have to. So I would ask for a recount. If it's that close where it's 5.2% difference, I think that it should be, with these machines that we have too, they can be hacked. And that's a matter of fact. It's been studied here in this town, and the software that's in there is, I'll be back. I'm not done yet,
Thank you.
Mr. Esquire.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else wish to make a comment? Yes, sir.
Good evening. So my name is Luke Borgling. I'm from Banks Township. Couple of quick points. First off, I was reading through and I see where the the department wanted $50,000 to decide whether to hire to do a pay for a financial contractor to come in and help prep for things, because you don't have a financial director. I'm just wondering, why do we not have any other accountants or anything that we could assign this job to? Maybe give them a bonus for doing the extra work and save that much money. I mean, I'm aware it's probably forget the, I'll call it legalese, for lack of a better kind of phrase, emergency fund for that 50,000 is an emergency deal, where that's probably legalese, but we could possibly save money on the budget if we just had our in-house accountants just put in a little bit more work. Was looking at the Adams, or sorry. My brain went back to my last county of residence, Antrim County Conservation District. And I'm just looking at, they waste a lot of taxpayer dollars. They have thousands that they spent on legal fees. They're paying hundreds on credit card fees. And then it's just other little just odds and ends where what I'm looking at, they're wasting money. And then they paid salary, the taxpayers paid the salary of a director that didn't show up to work regularly for how long before she wound up leaving. If I'm, as a private employer, if you own a business and you want to keep paying somebody who doesn't show up to work, that's your business. But as a group that's handling taxpayer dollars, when you keep paying to somebody who doesn't show up, that's wasting your taxpayers' dollars. And then my last little comment is going to be on the plans for that new jail. I noticed that the person who wrote the letter in there said that loss of liberty itself is the punishment. We don't need the conditions to be punishment as well. I would simply note that if my loss of liberty was at a 5-star resort, wouldn't it be much of a punishment? So the idea that, we have to give these people who are there to be punished for a crime they've committed a pleasant or normalizing, I believe was the phrase used, experience. I disagree. I also don't necessarily agree with using our legal system, our justice system, our correctional facilities as mental health. My fault. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name is Tom Beard. I'm from Elk Rapids, about a 1-minute walk from the dam. I am here today regarding something else, question and concern, but before I do, let me pass along a compliment to the dam people. I met Sam, one of our assistants here at the dam today, and he couldn't have been more grateful for the volunteers in Bel Air that have showed up day after day to work on the dam. And from the folks in Elk Rapids, I'd like to thank our neighbors up here in Bel Air, because if it goes, it runs right past my house, and I do appreciate all those folks showing up. My concern here is an article I read in Bridge today, and I think it was in the Record Eagle too, regarding the clerk's office and allegations that there have been some either unauthorized or illegal changes in our voting records by the clerk in terms of canceling or changing voter registrations. And, that's an issue for me. I'm a strong believer in democracy, and I'm very concerned when I hear about irregularities such as these. We know these are tense times. Elections are now in the spotlight all the time. And we need to be as clean as possible and not make mistakes. So I'm asking the clerk to explain to us today what is going on and what her side of this story is, because we don't know. We read what we read, but we don't know what the truth is. And if you could help enlighten us, I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the software.
Anyone else? Good, move on then. I get a motion, is there any changes need to the agenda? I get a motion to approve the
I'll
agenda.
make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll support.
Thank you, who supported all those in favor, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye. Opposed. Minutes dated April 2nd, any corrections? Corrections, can I get a motion to approve the minutes, please?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Terry. Do a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Move second. All those in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Any committee or big committee reports?
I have one, the concert, no, sorry. The Grass River Natural Area had some stuff floating around, but it's all secured. They didn't lose anything on their docks. They got a couple of things that got washed out, but they're gonna repair that and they should be good to go. I would like to mirror that gentleman's thing on the Bel Air Dam. Leslie and Sam spent hours and hours and hours at the dam. Like Sam was up 27 hours straight. One night he had to go home and go to sleep because he just couldn't make it anymore. So kudos to you you two, that you guys rocked. I was there 3 days straight. It's just amazing to watch how everything worked. There was over 50 people there to put sandbags out that were all volunteers. It just flew, so things went well. Thanks, Leslie.
Thanks. Who else? Cheers.
Yeah. Yesterday, the Conservation District met and, tree sale is the 25th and the 26th of April. It's a Saturday and a Sunday, and, there's still some that aren't spoken for if folks want to get them. Mike did less varieties this year, but he's got some extra of whole fruit and regular trees. And, they're also looking for some help getting them ready to plant. See Mike if anyone's interested in that. They are going to be having some pretty serious discussions about what they want to do as far as a director moving forward. And associates and what programs they want to offer going forward. They have a mushroom program that's been pretty popular. One of the Cape Sisma guys that worked with ACD took a job in Grand Traverse County, so Cape Sisma has 2 left that are employed with our district now. And that's about it for that. Today was a North Country Community Mental Health meeting. And I don't know, they still may be going on. I left before they were over, so that's why I was almost late. We had, I think, 70 minutes of public comment, 40 people there. And a lot of folks from the Bergman Center that if something doesn't change, they are probably gonna have to close down. And they also had some folks from GTI there, Micah and Cindy. And they said that of the 50,000 allocation that we budgeted, GTI is apparently getting some of that. And Brian didn't enlighten the board onto what that meant, so more questions on that, yeah. They also had their audit in the Bergman Center. Delivered to the board a 30-day notice under their provider agreement that says they may terminate services if things don't change.
Can I ask, I mean, any suggestions you have for us? I mean, I think we've taken a clear position on GTI, and I know Bergman Center is a very similar facility in Emmett County. I mean, do you have any suggestions?
The board did ask
Brian to meet with the Bergen Center and to meet with GTI. I kind of thought that that should be happening without board having to ask. I mean, I can't imagine having to ask Jeremy to meet with our department heads. But they did ask that and he agreed to that, so I don't have beyond that, I mean, I don't have any words of wisdom.
If anyone has any words of wisdom, I'm all ears. So, I'm incredibly frustrated.
See what them meetings do. Yeah,
And we all did, I'm sure, receive an email from the Bergen Center,
Yep.
expressing obviously, concerns and. Thanks, Jeremy. Right,
The road commission will be holding a public meeting at the Kearney Township Hall, May 7th at 7 p.m. It's open to the public, so I encourage everybody to come out. So again, that's gonna be May 7th, 7 p.m. at the Kearney Township Hall.
thanks. Jason, anything?
good.
Okay, Leslie, we're gonna get you up here, and we're gonna get you out of here, so. Now. Leslie's here to just give us a brief update, so the floor is yours, Leslie.
Not much that in my giddy up today. All right. Hi, guys. First off, I want to thank all the volunteers and our first responders throughout the county. This last week, it's worse than anything I ever did, including a year of COVID. You know, how do I get myself into this? Someone said to me the other day, you can't take a job in civil defense. And I said, well, why? And they said, well, when you were the emergency manager, we got COVID. Now that you're dam lady, we got a dam that's ready to overtop. And they said, what are we gonna do when we're attacked from somewhere else if you're in charge? So I'm sorry, okay, all right. The best news I have to share with everyone is the levels have been holding. For 2 straight days they held. And before I came here, I was giving Ari Bowles from the sheriff's department tour because she's going to give me a little time off tonight to go home and sleep. We were an inch down. We had been holding for 2 days and today we saw an inch. I received a report from 6 Mile Lake. They are reporting at least 6 inches down. So that means Sunday's water from 6 Mile Lake has finally gone through the dam, so that was great news. How this all started is we noticed last week that the levels started rising. And the levels were starting to approach those highs that we had last year. And the last year's highs were the highest recorded ever in Antrim County. So on Sunday, April 12th, Sam and myself and our resident volunteer engineer, Fred Gasper from Benway Lake, went to do an inspection on the dam because we were approaching that high level. We determined that evening that we would perform twice daily inspections at the dam. So we agreed to meet at 9:30 on Monday morning. During that inspection on Monday morning, because it was pouring rain on Sunday, so there was only so much we could tell. We found some seepage in the left or the eastern toe of the dam. At that, it was time to not use our resident expert engineer. I mean, we trust him wholly, but we needed someone with a seal and a certification. So we called our dam engineer Spicer. And it was determined that we would put on, it's called a filter, but it's really like a large blanket. And we put a foot of concrete sand, a foot of 2A stone, and a foot of riprap, and they will naturally bond together to protect this area. This work was done over the last 4 days. Today, they just finished up seeding and sodding of the areas that we disrupted while they went in to make the repairs. Over the week while this repair was being done, levels continued to quickly rise. we exceeded last year's level and we asked for an EOC activation. We set a new all-time high right before we got to that new all-time high. Or the one that we have now. We decided that sandbags were in order because the dam kept rising. Our new all-time high for the Northern Channel Lakes is 610.5 feet above sea level. As of last year, our all-time high was 609.12. So we exceeded it by 1.25 feet. It's just totally unprecedented. The dam is holding, everything's going pretty well, but it just amplifies the fact that we need to make improvements there. Our storm patterns, et cetera, are changing. Something good came out of it then too. Charlevoix County would like to meet with us in 2 weeks. So that's super good news. That is really, I had planned to come talk to you about the improvements we needed to make throughout the system tonight. I think that can wait right now if you guys don't mind. Couple of neat things that happened over the course of the week. You know me, I'm very, very committed to public education. I was able to do 7 tours of kids from Bel Air schools that came over. They didn't get near the dam, but they learned about the dam from a totally different perspective. Spend a lot of time giving kid tours over at the hydro dam, talking about hydroelectricity. We were talking about emergencies. It was very effective. We had a great time. You know, why is it I can always have a good time at a hurricane? I'm not quite sure, but anyway, we educated numerous members of our public because there was so much curiosity. We probably had, I don't know, Terry, what would you say, maybe 300 to 500 people a day that were there looking from afar, because of course we had to cordon off areas to keep people safe. It went great. There's something else that I'd like to report to you. On Easter Sunday, I was leaving my family's home from dinner. And I received a phone call from the emergency manager of Kalkaska County. And the Rug Pond Dam it appeared approaching failure. And because we knew each other from our emergency management days, he asked me, you know, what's the first thing I should do? And I says, the first thing you should do is call your drain commissioner. And then the second thing you should do is call the state. And I gave him the numbers that he needed. I asked the drain commissioner for Kalkaska County to give me an update on the dam, and I would like to just read so you guys know. And for those that don't know where Rug Pond is on the Rapid River. It's up in Rapid River Township, kind of far away from us. It's a whole township away from our, the county line. But Rug Pond has not been maintained like all of the aging infrastructure throughout most of Michigan in 100+ years. There's a lot of sediment behind that dam. And the Rapid River flows right into the Torch River. So that affects us because it is part of our chain of lakes. So what we have is on Easter Sunday, an inspection at the Rug Pond Dam found water overtopping the overflow spillway and erosion of the metal wing walls at the exit of the main spillway. The pond level was within a few inches of the top of the dam. The county immediately contacted the Eagle Dam safety staff and had a contractor come in to determine how to reinforce the main spillway to prevent further erosion that could endanger the structure. With Eagle approval, the contractor brought in stone to fill the erosion areas and reinforce the wing wall. Expanding foam was also placed in the gap that had been formed between the wing wall and the concrete spillway. Work on the overflow spillway cannot be achieved as the grading in the intake had collapsed. Once the lake water levels have fallen to a safe level, the gratings will be repaired or replaced. The buildup of plant material on the gratings also limited the normal flow through the dam. This material will be removed from the grates once the water level has dropped. So they have it under control right now. But I also want to remind you that they had also applied for a dam risk reduction grant, and their plan was to remove the Rug Pond Dam. Again, we've got this aging infrastructure, and I just want everyone to know the importance of taking care of the infrastructure that we have before we have catastrophic failure. Because sadly, there's going to be several $100,000 that we spent saving Bel Air Dam that could have gone in to the improvements. So I'm very much looking forward to taking my message again back on the road of how important this is for us to establish the mechanisms we need to fix our aging infrastructure, because I have to say that our economic driver here in Antrim County is that chain of lakes, and it's the utmost importance for us. I will take any questions. Otherwise, I want to go home and I want to see if Jamie is still winning on Jeopardy. I haven't seen Jeopardy since last Friday, and he was at 20 wins, and he's working on that record, and I think I want a dirty martini too.
He's still winning, Leslie, he's still winning.
Thanks for ruining
Tonight, I don't know about tonight. Leslie, are you, I spoke with Truman Bickham today from Calcasas County. Are you still planning on meeting with them tomorrow?
That is my plan, if I can. And if it rains tonight, I'm going to be canceling that meeting.
I will see you there unless it's canceled, so
Okay,
thank you. Other questions for Leslie?
You do.
thanks.
Just, do you have a rough estimate of how much rainfall we got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday?
Well over 7 inches. But you gotta remember, we were still getting rain the week before. The lakes were still frozen. We weren't at ice off yet. We still had a frozen ground. And in many parts of the county, there was still over 4 feet of snow.
And then my second question is, I've had constituents ask, Sheboygan County's been in the news and they've been pumping. Have they talked about pumping at Bel Air, or?
If we pump over the dam, we blow out everybody south of the dam. There are 2 houses now, they're completely sandbagged, their houses are threatened. If that dam, if we send any more water, we're gonna watch 2 houses float right off their foundations. So the dam was built to send through 90,000 gallons a minute. We start pumping over, we've changed even the whole hydraulics of that dam. It was not recommended by our engineers. Sounds easy, I know, let's just pump it over the top. But what does it do to the other side?
Questions?
I'm good to go.
Maybe we give Leslie a round of applause.
It's not necessary. Give the volunteer. The volunteers, so they can not only have both the time, but
volunteers too much.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Good night, folks.
Good night.
Here you go, girl.
Our equalization director is here, Jamie.
Well, I don't know how I follow that. That's pretty impressive. So good evening, honorable members of the Board of Commission. As you know, I am Jamie Hauserman, your equalization director. In front of you this evening is your equalization report for 2026, and also Form 4024, which is our state required reporting at this point. So at this point, I can tell you before we go through the report that our office has worked diligently, and we hereby certify, this is part of my legalese for you. We hereby certify that the foregoing is a true statement of the numbers of acres of land, the value of the real property and of the personal property, the aggregate valuation of the real property and personal property, the equalized and assessed valuations of the real property certified in each of the townships, equalized by this Board of Commissioners on today, April 16, 2026, held pursuant to the provisions of section 209.1 and 209.8 of Michigan compiled law. And so what I have for you, if you want to go through the report a little bit with me, and then if you've got questions at any point, just ask and I'll stop. Pages 1 through 3 is a copy of that state report that's required for us to file.
That has been completed. What you see mainly from that is the total overall big snapshot picture. Which is, in 23 and 24, we had about a 22% per year increase in tax or in values, in property values in our county. And then last year, we saw that start to slow down a little bit. And we only saw a 13% increase, which is still astronomical. And I'm sure that as our taxpayers are all feeling, we're now multiple years in a row. And then this year, we're at a 9.11%, still slowing, still significantly high. And so that puts us to nearly $5.5 billion in real property across our county. Ages 4 through 7 are a breakdown by class and by township of each of the types of property and what those total overall values are, for equalized values. And then page 10 and 11 is the percentage of change from one year to the next. And that's what's really giving you that look at that about 9.2% that we're increasing there. And then page 12 and 13, I think, is pretty interesting this year, more so than in most. It's the breakdown between last year and this year of each of the townships and how that fluctuates or moves. And so what that looks like, that page 12 and 13, it shows each of our townships with Milton being our largest by value township.
Hold on a second, Jamie, I want the screen to catch up with you, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you, just for the benefit.
It's on
All right.
12 and 13.
Go to page 12, Jeremy.
Might be a little further ahead, I think, than the back one. One more. What's that next one? Let's look at that one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
Absolutely, thank you. And so what you see on that page is that your largest township by dollar value, Milton, is staying where it's at, steadily in that first place spot. However, second place spot has always been Elk Rapids Township, and it's real quickly getting caught up. Torch Lake is growing pretty significant, pretty fast. And so what you're seeing in that chart is that Torch Lake really is like your leader of the group this year, if you will, in property value increases. Then you see on page 14 there, it's a recap of the assessed value that we recommended and the value that you would recommend. And what does that difference look like? Well, that difference looks like the difference between when the assessors gave us their data, we went through that, we worked with them pretty diligently in the months of January and February, we pretty much worked with them constantly. And what we found was that due to their diligence, hard work and efforts, and the hard work and efforts of those local board of review members, that those numbers that left our office before board of review, and then the handful of board of review changes ultimately came back to us after board of review, and we weren't required to then make any additional changes beyond that. So that just speaks to the quality level of our township assessors and our township board of review members and their ability to stay within the law and do the things that they need to be doing. And then let's see, if you move on to the next page, that's probably the most sought after page in the book, number 15. In fact, I keep mine tabbed in my book. So page 15 really is the first time you're looking at taxable value, which is generally what our taxpayers seem to want to talk to us about a lot lately. But that SEV compared to the taxable value, and what does
Shop it again.
Yeah.
Last year.
yeah,
That's okay, that's.
That's fine.
number 15 is the one we just love. Where are we going to? Sorry. I just have it written down.
This is page 15. Okay.
Yeah, that was a.
We're looking at your written
Yeah.
report, Jamie. I
I'm
think
sorry,
that's where we're getting.
I think we're getting a little bit mixed up.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. All right, next one you've got is 16 is the next one. That's the one we're talking about now.
Thank you.
And so that is that's the taxable value versus from last year versus the taxable value for this year, what that difference looks like. And so assessed value is what property value is about 50% up. So 50% of market value is an assessed value number. Taxable value is what you're paying tax bills off of. So that's generally the number that the majority of folks want to talk about. What we do in equalization is assessed value stuff. But we put this in there so that you get that information because it's generally asked. And so you're not equalizing on that taxable value today, but it is included in your reporting. And so the taxable value from 2025 to 2026 and what that looked like, I can tell you that the inflation rate multiplier last year was 2.7%. And so when you're looking at that almost 7% increase, that means you went substantially above and beyond what that inflation rate multiplier was. How does that happen? That happens from buying and selling of properties where it uncaps value, if you've heard that before. And it also happens with all new construction, anything that's been built new. So that's how you're getting that almost 7% increase. What I can tell you last year is you had about the same thing. You were just under 8% last year, 7.34. You're just about 7% this year. You're going at that same level of growth. From last year, from 2 years ago to last year, and then last year to this year. Let's see, our next page then is going to give you the chart. The chart is kind of an interesting view, and you've seen me stand in front of you for several years now and say, this economy has to slow down at some point. It does. You can see based on history in how that goes, the growth in those charts are, that it tapers off, right? Like we run hills and valleys, but we're right now running up a mountain, and that mountain seems to not come to an end. The red line versus that green line. The green line is the taxable value number. You're seeing that just coming up slightly. You're seeing that the SEV, the assessed value number, way up. And so what does that mean? That means that as property continues to increase in value, it's worth more money. Our taxpayers are still only paying that inflation rate multiplier, that 2.7%, unless it was a new purchase. So I don't have anything to tell you about for next year other than we follow the market. We're not economists. We follow the market, we're behind it. But what I can tell you is I can't believe it hasn't slowed down yet, and it's got to start slowing down. You're seeing a real slight slowdown, but nothing of any significance still. And there's no discussion really of that. I'm not seeing it. So I'm gonna say you're gonna be pretty strong again next year. I do, the US Bureau of Labor and Statistics is the government mechanism that tells us where that inflation rate multiplier is moving. I track that every month, each month it comes out. Property taxes uses a 2-year cycle, a 2-year fluid cycle there. But I track that each month, and what I can tell you is we've got about 6 months left in this next cycle for next year, and we're still pushing right about 3%. And so as you see gas prices at the pumps go up, you can almost always gonna see an increase in taxable value because that consumer price index number is so heavily weighted on gasoline. So like I said, so you'll see about the same increase last year or next year as what you saw this year. I had to come up with a guess. The last couple of pages for you in your book kind of give you an overall about a 30-year span. Since proposal A of 1994, that's when I decided to start making your chart. And you can see how that value has changed from year after year. And that's where you're seeing, like this year, that 9.11 at the bottom, but the prior year where you saw almost a 13%, then you had those couple years that were about 22%. You can kind of see over time how that'll increase and decrease. Folks say sometimes like we never lose value. Yes, we absolutely do lose value. So they don't feel it, right? They only feel when they have to pay more, they don't feel when they pay less. But there absolutely are several of those years where there was absolutely some significant value loss. Like I said, I don't see it slowing down anytime soon though. Do you have other questions for me?
Jamie, just, and I think you shared this with us in previous years, but after the recession in 2008, when things declined, how many years did it take us to get back to?
A good 5 or 6, and I think you'll probably see something like that again if we start, I can tell you that the 2 years in a row of about 22%, then this last year of about 13, and now at 9. If we can get, and you'll see in history where you can see where those started to slow down and then they really started to drop. If we can get there again, that would help to correct what people are saying. We're hoping for market correction, that will start to help correct if we can get that slow down.
Okay.
You have any other questions for me?
Yeah, just looking at the percent change in townships, Mansalona looks like the leader at 12.7 and Star is second at 9.3. That's on page 16. Any
They did.
big indicators, any standouts by?
Nothing super significant there. I can tell you that the Mansalona one specifically involves some personal property that came into their township. Pretty good jump in personal property. If you go back to the personal property page, you'll see that. But there was nothing that was like, holy smokes. I can tell you that Mansalona and Star are kind of in the middle of your pack as far as not being super big and not being super small for townships in your community. And so they weren't driving that really. They were higher percentages, but they weren't the driving dollars. The driving dollars was really Torchlight. You have anything else for me? All right, well, I have one more thing for you. So at this time, then, if you don't have any other questions for me, we hereby certify that the assessment rolls of the townships and villages have been examined and that we find that the rolls to be relatively equalized. We're recommending that the valuations be equalized on the taxable value by class in Antrim County for the year 2026 in compliance with section 209.5 and 211.34 Michigan Compiled Law, and also in accordance with the assessment rule certifications. Anything else for me?
Perfect place always.
Super fun.
Thank you.
I don't, like I said, how do you follow all of this really interesting stuff about water with tech stuff? Nobody wants to hear that.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks, have a great night.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'll be looking for a motion to
Both resolutions.
adopt resolution number 11 2026 to adopt the 2026 equalization report.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. So there's a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Roll call, Vicky.
Commissioner Van Alstine,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Scola,
Yes.
Commissioner Ruber,
Yes.
Commissioner Heckler.
Yes, thank you. Move on then to Mike's with us. Annual report for the Conservation District. Hello, Mr. Merriweather.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Excellent.
Great.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike.
Jeremy, do you have that?
Yeah.
Well, he's pulling that up. I do have a strong report about some of your property. So you do have some damage, not like Leslie's dealing with, obviously, but there's a lot of 2 tracks that are washed out. There's some creeks that are really bad. Mormon Park is probably bad. I haven't looked at that yet, but so what I generally do, I haven't had to deal with this kind of water before, but we'll probably rent a piece of equipment and go around fix it during the course of the summer. So the ones I looked at are not good. Anyway, I am Mike Merriweather. I'm here to give the annual report for the Conservation District.
Thanks, Mike.
No problem. This is the 2025 annual report. I'm also the forester, but today I'm acting as somebody else.
Go ahead and turn the page, Jeremy. So the Conservation District is just a little background, short summary, established in 1945. We've been doing conservation practices in the county and providing technical assistance ever since then. We are primarily funded by state grants, a county millage of 0.1 mil. Native plant sales, tree sales, and other private donations. That's our primary funding. Next. So we function with a board of directors. They're elected board of directors. Our chairman, Adrian Wolf, is here today. Adrian is a small farmer on Guernsey Road. And she came, she was gonna give you a little background at public comment, but we missed that, I guess, so.
She can certainly join you for your report, Mike.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'll let her come back some
All right.
time if she wants to.
All right.
She actually been doing an excellent job for us. We've had some transitional issues with the Conservation District, as you know. Adrian could have easily bailed on us, but she stuck with it and made some good hard decisions, so we appreciate that. Other board members, Brian Smith, who you know, used to be on your board. He's our vice chairman. Kelly Dole, another small farmer. Randy Johnson, who's owned the trout farm down on Glacial Hill, or not Glacial Hill, so. Yeah. And then Kathleen Peterson was over on Torch Lake. So these are all elected people to our board. Okay. So as an introduction, 2025, some of the activities, of course, the district administers the forestry program. We administer an invasive species program, hazardous waste, recycling, site maintenance, public education and outreach programs. So as an introduction, that's kind of what's going on in 2025. I'm easier to keep up than Alaska was. So some of the things that we do routinely every year, it's nothing new or surprising, I guess, but we serve as a resource to the community, a natural resource questions. We provide technical assistance in forestry, currently invasive species, and lots of land usage issues. We are the point of contact for environmental issues within the county, so we deal with the DNR and questions. We field questions for them and send people to them, NRCS, other agencies like that. And of course, we do the recycling bins. We do daily site visits there, hazardous waste pickups, and we had a lot of outreach programs in 2025. So 2025, our primary focuses, I guess, focus. Of course, the recycling, we did do a tire grant last year, and our site cleanup, invasive species, tree sales, plant sales, outreach and forestry. Those are some of the 2025 focus of the Conservation District. There's 3 more. We did do a land acquisition on Craven Pond. The guy gave us a lot on Craven Pond. We didn't buy it. It's right across from Lamina. I don't know what we're gonna do with it, but he gave it to us. We do a lot of social media stuff. Facebook, podcasts, there's quite a few podcasts online now. And then we do still apply for a lot of grants through the Conservation District. And there's state grants, federal grants. We have a lot of invasive species grants. I call it Cedar River Grant. That was actually a donation from Mr. Jabaro, but occasionally we get private grants. So quickly on our invasive species program, which is a major component of the Conservation District at this time. So I thought I'd spend a few minutes on that. So we do manage a regional program. And it's called CAKE SISMA, Cooperative Invasive Species Management Area, Charlevoix, Antrim, Kalkaska, and Emmett. And we have Wade Foster and Katie Gray, Tyler Lancaster, and then we do have a large summer staff coming on with our invasive species program. So last year, again, that's a regional program, so we are the fiduciary. We pay the bills, we write, or we're responsible for the grants. Those types of things, but it is a multi-county program. Last year, the hemlock, or woolly adelgid was a problem, is a problem, that was discovered in the county and the region. They surveyed 1,000 acres that included mostly in Antrim County, because that's where we found it. They are preparing to treat 6,000 trees right now. They treated 372. They're treating them with the insecticide injection process where they're actually injecting the trees. It's pretty intensive, and hopefully it works, we'll see. They did 30 events. They wrote, well, they didn't write 5 grants, but we're working under 5 grants. Some of them are multiple year grants, so they would be a 2-year grant or a 1-year grant. I'll go on that, but so we have $208,000 worth of grant monies in 2025. And they're all at various stages of being completed. We continue to produce grant dollars. There is an annual report for Kate if you want to read it. The other program we do is the recycling program. And the annual report for Kate has a lot more details about all those line items I just went through. So if you want that, I can get that to you. I think last year they came in and actually did a report, if I remember right. I short circuited that. So recycling, we do hazardous waste, as you know. Mansalona, Bel Air, Elk Rapids, 63,000 tons of waste in those 3 locations picked up last year. We spend quite a bit of time, or Ron Boyer does, cleaning up our recycling sites. I think he's working 4 days a week right now. He goes 3 days a week in the winter. All the sites right now are pretty bad from the snow melt, so we're working on getting those cleaned up. Again, Ron Boyer is our site manager. And some other things with recycling was the boat wrap recycling, and we did a recycling guidebook, and then we did a tour of Emmett County facility, which I think there's a lot of discussion on the Emmett County facility in this county. Like my understanding. Forestry, I did an annual report for forestry, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on that, but then this it does administer a forestry program and has since the 1970s. It's a technical assistance program free to private landowners. If you want to see the annual report, you have to go back to last month. Okay?
That's fair.
Outreach and education, we did quite a bit. I probably forgot some. It was hard for me to backtrack and see what was actually done last year. So we did a lot of things with kids, stream biology, pollinators. We do have a story hour trail in conjunction with the library in town here. It's out at the Cedar River. And we change that every month or something. There's a new story. Pretty simple story, so might be good for you, Bill. Me and Byron on. Then we did some adult stuff, some gardening stuff, some soil science, some birding activities. So native plant composting. So there's a lot of outreach stuff that has gone on last year and probably continue to do that. So wrapping this up a little bit, I have some budget stuff that probably be interesting for you. 2025, we had a $700,000 operating budget. Forestry represented about 12% of that. Forestry is an allocation from the county. We had donations that were 7% of that budget. We had grants that were 39%, and the county millage is 32% of our budget. So it's a quite hefty portion of our budget, but it's not our only revenue stream. And then plant sales and other things. So there is a pie chart I tried to make. I think it just gives you an idea that we are matching our millage money with grants, or trying to. So those are kind of almost equal percentages of our budget, and then all the other ones are important, but still minor parts of the county budget. Or county budget, it's conservation district budget. So the expenses last year with the district, We spent, near as I can tell, $698,000. 40% of that is operating expenses, which is insurance and our building and administrative stuff, fuel, just operating expenses. Which I believe is what our millage is focused on primarily. And then our employees made up 55% of that budget, or roughly $308,000. Last year, there was 7 full-time employees and 4 seasonal employees. So it seems like a lot, but that's a lot of employees as well, so. So a few goals for next year, I just jotted down. And some of the things that we have to do are a bit of a transition period. So I want the board to do some strategic planning, figure out what is important for us to pursue. I'd like to do some resident surveys again and see what the people in the county actually want from the conservation district. So those are 2 things I think our board needs to work on. We need to gain re-entry to the Stover building. That's one of our goals next year, is to get back into good graces with the Conservation Club. I think we are on the right path for that. We need to address the forestry assistance program. I think we're in process with Jeremy, and we're kind of in process with that with you guys, and the district is working on that as well. We do have to do some work in the Cedar River, which is county-owned property, village-owned property, and conservation district-owned property. So I have a crew coming up to redo all the bridges in the Cedar River. That's a priority for us because we have the money to do that, so. And then I don't know if there's any land acquisitions, there probably are. So that's next year. Is there any questions on that? So I have a few closing thoughts if I have time. Do I got time, Jeremy? Unless you have any questions for me. So I kind of alluded to the fact that I feel like the conservation district is under a little bit of a microscope right at the moment. A lot of gossip and a lot of things going on. So I just wanted to reiterate and let you know that I think, or remind you, I guess, that you know, the conservation district actually had a pretty positive impact on the county over the last 80 years. They've been here for 80 years. They battled some funding issues, some shortfalls in funding, personnel issues. We've had some turnover with board and staff, et cetera. We've had our battles over that 80 years. I haven't been here quite that long, but before I even got here. So despite those obstacles, you know, the district has brought in millions of dollars, not hundreds of thousands, but millions of dollars into the county through grants. And a pretty significant amount of money, even though that's an 80-year time period. Most of that money is fairly recent. So some of the examples of that would be the Jordan River restoration. Brought in, there was $300-400 grand for that. Cedar River restoration, when Stover Pond blew out, we were responsible for that. Elk River, we've done work on the Elk River. We had a 10-year, $10 million grant for agriculture. It was the Elk River Watershed Grant that we wrote that addressed everything from manure waste systems to tree plantings actually are in there. And I was actually hired to the Elk River Watershed originally. So this is going back in time, but not very far. I just want to reiterate that the conservation district has had pretty good impact. Parks and trail construction, these are things I jotted down in my truck when I was coming over here. So there's probably more. Land acquisitions, Grass River, Antrim Creek, Cedar River, Glacier Hills, the conservation district has had a hand in acquiring those in some form. So, and then on top of that, we've administered the forestry program and soil erosion program and countless other things. So just to throw that out to you, because there's a lot of rumbling and maybe for the public's benefit that the district changes year to year, but they're pretty good at using our tax dollars when we have them. And we're pretty good at expanding on that and making that something that's productive. That's it. Questions?
Jack?
Yeah, Mike, just briefly, I just know the village council in Ellsworth is pretty happy with
you communicating with them. They were pretty frustrated before
Okay,
this last recent.
Yeah.
Before you got in there with your efforts at getting them a fence around the recycling and, just the last meeting was a lot more positive when they talked about the conservation district and the recycling center in Ellsworth. So,
well, I promise, and we take care of it, so we will.
and just, I know you know, but I have had constituents and I'm the liaison to the board, but that have told me that when they voted for the millage, they did not vote for what has been taking place in the last 4 or 5, 8, 10 months, especially with the Blair Conservation Club and just some of the ways they spent money, so.
Yeah.
I just appreciate your leadership and trying to clean that up. So,
So, thank you, yeah, I'm doing my best, so.
Good.
And Mike, just again, thank you for, again, stepping up, and helping the community, by taking on the interim role. And Adrian, thank you for sticking it out, on the board as well. I do appreciate it.
Can I make one side comment? Do you have time for that?
Please.
With your forestry fund? So I noticed you guys are spending a lot of money out of the forestry revenues, and I just wanted to make that to the public, basically, not you guys. So those are monies that are generated through the harvest of trees, basically the forest management on the property. I'm glad you're using it and recycling it in the community. I'm not complaining about that. I just want people to understand where that revenue is generated from when it is given out to certain entities that need the money. So I'm not complaining that you're giving, Grass River $100,000. I just want the public to realize where that money comes from and how it is generated. I think that's really important. And the other comment I made to Jairus the other day at the meeting was, and I did talk to Jeremy about this, I really would like to see somehow have a minimum fund balance on that forestry fund. I call it the forestry fund, maybe you guys don't call it that, but that's what I call it. So you can chat with Jeremy amongst yourself, but I really believe there should be some sort of minimum fund balance that you don't go below in case you need to acquire property or do something with your forest land that you don't have to go back into your general fund, the money's right there. So those are the two comments. It's important for the public to know where that money comes from and how it's generated and minimum fund balance. Okay?
Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
I have a motion to accept the Antrim County Antrim Conservation District's 2025 meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support. Thank you. Move support in discussion.
Good job.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Maintenance Department annual report, submitted in, writing, may I get a motion to accept
That motion, I'll support.
the discussion, comments? I do, Jeremy, I do appreciate the photos, that were included, of the courthouse. I think, It's photo. The photo's worth 1,000 words, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So, we'll move, anything else? Moved in, second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Yes.
Opposed? Old business, unfinished business, public safety center update. We did have in our packets a report from, Todd Fenton. Following up on some comments that were made, or some questions that were asked to them, Plant Moran. Field Point, Jeremy, anything else?
The only other thing I know was the Marsh response to PMR, just how it's gonna be adopted and utilized the best could be. Is that in our packet, or? I think that may have been sent out actually as a communication on Friday. Let me, did not go on the packet.
I never recall seeing it, but
Okay, apologies about that. That was meant to, we'll make sure it's out.
on this in our packet, page 5, about the questions that were asked. Jeremy, can you just briefly go over the square footage that they're talking about here for a mental health clinic and that compares with our plan?
Yeah, I mean. a medical clinic would be great, but it's not sustainable and it would create, well, you can see, 2,200 square feet plus the cost of staffing a medical clinic. We have a medical clinic in town here and they've actually struggled to find a viable solution for a mental health clinic. It would be very costly in the county if that's the direction, but it's something we could go with, but it would drastically change this project.
We have some flex space designated in this project.
We do,
And remind me of the amount again.
I don't have that off hand, but we have been working with, community collaborative, working with the HHS, working with, even trying to bring in the Bel Air Clinic to, develop the space into the most flexible, but a very usable space for each of those, agencies. When the sheriff's department moves out of their current space, it will open up office space, so as programs become available, we would be able to house, if, it was brought up in the past that Alpena County, they really wished that they had more office space for these folks. We actually have spaces that we would be able to move them into if we were able to identify some of those programs. And then they would have a place to meet with inmates or other people from the public.
Just more comment, to Jeremy a little bit, PMR's response to Commissioner Heffernan moving, it says, I mean, I don't understand the basis of a total of 70 average daily inmates. That's gonna be the second from last paragraph. I don't know, am I missing something there? Because I mean, our average population in our jail is nowhere near that.
I don't know where that.
Okay, because then I look at square footage and then I always think, well, is this even, I mean, I don't understand what PMR is actually trying to say. So that's just my comment. I'm sorry.
It's
No need to apologize, right, because I had to say, I mean, again, I looked at this and it talks about 70 inmates.
a lot of it didn't make any sense at all.
We,
They give an answer or don't give an answer is what I got out of it.
so it's good, yeah, disappointed.
But, eat the fish, leave the bones. So, we took what we could from the reports, adapted and we'll move on.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Anything else, Jeremy, on folks yet? New business, claims and accounts.
I'll make a motion that we pay claims and accounts $129,757.16.
And I'll support, thank you, Bruce, and supported questions on those. Jared,
Number 35, 5,100 for IT software. Well,
Those are annual renewals for various softwares that we utilize, typically more server level softwares.
and then number 32, which 2,000 for a camera.
Yeah, we identified some gaps in our, when we developed the security for across our campuses. We started out slow and added, and we discovered a gap that one entire side of our building wasn't being covered. And so that was covered.
Oh, okay, move to second, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Moving on, action request, integrated credit card contracts submitted by Treasurer Sherry Condon, looking for a motion to authorize the board chair to execute the integrated payments addendum with BS&A software, Antrim County for integrated credit card services for the building department.
I'll make a motion.
I'll support, supported,
Hello.
any questions for Sherry?
Legal has reviewed, there is, one of the sections that we have requested BSNA give some clarification on, that currently has been sent to their legal. So, if you would approve it pending a, satisfactory clarification on that section, I'll have Jeremy review it. I won't have Bill sign the contract until after that clarification has been done.
So good, good.
But, any other questions, Sharon?
So building department.
Mhm.
50 cent per transaction fee. And then will they pay a percentage also?
The customer pays.
Right.
Yes. But
And
it's a
that's-
different, a little bit different than the prior,
Is that gonna be 3%? Am I reading that?
I believe it's 2. It's 2.95% plus the 50 cent transaction, and then the ACH has a tiered chart. Where Point and Pay was at 3% plus a $2 minimum credit card. And a $3 up to $10,000. And $10 for over $10,000 flat fee for their checks. The biggest reason for changing is because it's integrated together with their software. That if there's an issue, fingers are gonna be pointed to the other credit card company and it's gonna get in their queue and who knows how long it takes to get something resolved.
Was we the second all in favor, please say aye. Aye, anyone opposed? Okay, thanks, Sharon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
Moving on to the airport, Matt is with us as well tonight, looking for a motion to authorize the chair to execute an agreement with Great Lakes Energy for an electrical easement to the Steve Smith hangar at the Antrim County Airport.
I'll make that moral support.
Forwarded, any questions for Matthew?
This is just the ones like we've done before.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my question too.
Okay, move to second, all in favor, please say aye.
Yeah.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Also, with the airport, the release of funds for a ground power unit, with the motion to authorize the release of funds totaling $38,750 for the purchase of a 2007 Hobart Jet EX5D ground power unit.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Also, thank you. Move to support. Questions for Matthew in regards to this, right?
Yeah, Matthew,
Yes.
it's a 2007, so it's got some time on it. Are you confident? I mean, it's gonna function as it should?
Yep,
Okay.
I just spoke with the the company that's selling it and it just went through a complete overhaul. I've seen it run and it's been load tested. When I was in Charlevoix, we had an older unit donated to us from Grand Rapids and we used that for multiple years, for many years. Yep. And then just briefly tell me, I mean, you start the plane up and what's the purpose of this? The GPU serves multiple functions. One item could be engine start. But if you've all flown commercially, when you walk out of the aircraft, all the lights are on, air is moving. That is being powered by an APU, which is an auxiliary power unit, which is a turbine generator in the tail of the aircraft. And the smaller aircraft that don't have an APU run on a GPU. So that provides environmental and provides lighting and provides power to the flight deck, so the flight crew can flight plan. If we have a couple jets on the field, so if they need to do a software update or a chart update on their avionics package, they can sit in the hangar, run off the GPU and not run on their house battery. So it serves multiple purposes.
So is there a cost to that to?
$100 an hour.
Okay.
Oh, very good. Good. We spoke about that before.
Yeah.
Good.
And Matthew, again, why do you want this? You've explained to us, I think, before, but can you just highlight for us again why it's important that we have this?
Yes, it's considered part of what you would call ground support equipment. So the lab cart that you approved last year, that empties the lab of the aircraft. This has probably been the most sought after ground service equipment that we haven't had been able to provide. And typically if a jet comes in, if there's a GPU on site, they're gonna use it.
Makes us more attractive for customers.
It does, and it maximizes, well, it gives them a complete experience at the airport. And it maximizes the revenue while that aircraft's on the ground here.
Thank you. Any questions for Matthew? Okay, move to second, all in favor, please say aye.
Yeah.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Moving on to the Parks Department, Lindsay, Parks Director is with us as well tonight, looking for a motion to authorize the chair to execute the America 250 grant agreement, contingent on legal review, the amount of $50,000 with a match of up to $25,000 to be applied to the cost of phase one of the interim city schoolhouse restoration project at Antrim Creek Natural Area, and authorize a budget amendment of up to $75,000 for phase one of the project. Can I get a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second? Possible. Thank you. Move second. Question. Lindsay, you want to join us, please?
25,000 is coming from the Antrim Creek Endowment Fund, right?
It's coming from the interest fund balance that they have,
Okay, yeah,
because they don't always use all of the money out from the necessary everything out, so they've been saving it.
thank you.
Other questions? No, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Just wonderful news. So was second, motion second. All those in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you for adding this on last minute as well, so we can get this project moving. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Leslie.
This is Lindsay, somebody else.
Yeah.
We do.
Okay, moving on, submitted by Jeremy, looking for budget management, to authorize, looking for a motion to authorize the transfer of up to $55,000 for the purpose of audit preparation assistance from contingencies to the appropriate line item.
I'll make the motion.
Moves there second,
I'll second it.
moved to second, questions, for Jeremy? Cheers.
Yeah, Jeremy, I mean, it was brought up during public comment, this is a lot of money from contingency. I mean, I know Janet's done finance work before, they have more to do than she's able to, is that?
Yeah. Audit is an extremely specialized, there's a plenty of finance directors that are qualified that still need audit prep. And we found ourselves in a situation, and just to be clear, this was already an emergency expenditure, so this is already happened under that. This is you reaffirming it, but of course, I'm happy to answer all the questions on this. Most impactful, and just to cut to the chase here, is when you are looking at bonding, you do not want any kind of blip or any other thing in your financial. Anything that will cost you way more than $55,000. For municipalities, there's no greater purpose for us but to make sure that we're getting the finances correct. So while $55,000 in a silo seems like a lot in relative to any other municipality, it's not. So that being said, in the situation we were in, this was somebody doing us a big favor because all audit prep was already engaged at this point in audits. And they've done us a fairly large favor in cutting the rates because of the relationship that we built with them.
I just have one comment.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, we don't employ a large group of in-house accountants, so it's not like we could just
Yeah,
fall back on another one. If that one doesn't work out, another one.
we have none.
We have none, so.
Stephanie Murray, our HR director, used to be a finance director, but you know, this isn't even her specialty and she's got a job to do. We are doing our best to minimize. So just to be clear, this is a estimated cost at a cost per hour. Our team, Sherry Common, the treasurer, Stephanie, self, Shelley, and Janet as well are doing everything we can to mitigate those hours, getting them the responses quickly. It is paramount that we have smooth out this audit process.
So this budget amendment will it go through the audit? Is that how many months or?
This will cover audit. Yes, this will get us to the end of audit. Technically, the audit is done in June. It's due at the end of June.
And just so the rest of the board knows, I talked to Bill, I had a lady at Parks Lake Township that has a lot of financial experience and she's retired and she's emailed us her resume, as we go forward. It may be an option, got a wealth of knowledge. First constituent I found that I felt like I could recommend to you at least take a look at, so. I guess when we get through this point, it'd be really nice to see which way you think would be better if we try to hire another finance director. You had a couple.
Well, we have that on this agenda to discuss, if you wanna integrate the two.
Well, that's fine.
No,
I didn't mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right, that's all right, no, now let's get this one down first.
Yeah.
That's right, Josie's, anything else? Right? No. And I would just say again, I don't think there's anything more important than making sure our finances are in order. So I do not mean to make this sound flippant, but I don't care what it costs to make sure our finances are in order. And so I have all the faith in the world that Jeremy's gonna do everything he can to minimize these costs, but it just needs to be done, so. Anything else, was moved and seconded, think I'll ask for a roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Alstad,
Yes.
Commissioner Scola,
Yes.
Commissioner Rubin,
Yes.
Commissioner Heffernan.
Yes, thank you. Okay, now moving on to the next matter, which Jared, we're just touching base on there, was a discussion in regards to the finance department structure. Jeremy submitted a memo to us. Jeremy, I'll ask you to start the discussion.
Sure. So when we were making this transition a year ago, we were looking at making the transitions. We took a risk with somebody that didn't have the direct kind of experience that we needed, but we thought we could build them up. I don't want to speak to exactly what happened, but it didn't go the way that we had wanted. Now on the precipice of the biggest project that anybody in this room will ever deal with at the county. It is very important to me. I believe it's very important to this board that we get this right, especially financially. I know there was a lot of concern from the public as well. We want to make sure this is done absolutely correctly. The recommendation I am making to the board is to go through with a plan to go through the end of this year with a contract. There's multiple benefits to that. First of all, you're not just dealing with an individual. Second of all, you're dealing with a group of people that actually has actual county experience. They've worked with and they've actually gone into, not that we're in this situation, but they've gone into other municipalities. That's what they excel at, actually, is going into messes that other people have made. They fix them, they get them in line, and then they usher in the next phase, which is often hiring a highly qualified finance director. Usually what happens is municipalities get into those situations because they hire somebody that was not highly qualified. They didn't have county or city or township experience. They walked in believing that they could just do it, and they didn't, because it's a whole different set of laws, a whole set of different rules. I say that to say that if this was a year ago, a great example is the resume that you passed along. She has zero county experience, zero municipality, and very little fund-based accounting experience. She seems like a great person. I mean, genuine. And if this was a year ago, I would probably be looking at something different and saying, you know what, maybe this is a good person to see if we can get up to speed. I would be concerned about doing that at this point when we're trying to make sure that everything is correct. Raymond or any other group that we would go with would have the advantage also of taking a look at arrears, seeing anything that we missed, seeing other opportunities for efficiencies, Like I said, this is their bread and butter. This is what they do day in, day out. These are the type of people we would never be able to afford to hire if we were trying to hire one of these people as an individual. It would be, quite expensive. So I say that to give you an idea of what this cost will be. I don't have a final proposal from them yet, but just under $115,000 to close out the year. So for the rest of the year, to act as our finance director. I'm recommending that we go this route, take the opportunity. We're in a spot where we really don't want another gap. It was a struggle last year to cover that gap, with folks in my office. And with projects on our plate right now, we do not have the capacity to do that again. And frankly, I want to make sure everything's lined up. I want everything looked at in arrears. I want to make sure that the county is moving forward in the most efficient way possible. I believe if the board agrees to go this route, I believe a good opportunity will be at budget time. We'll probably actually have at least one of them come up in person to walk us through budget. You'll get to experience a little bit more hands-on at that point. County staff will get to experience over the next several months to see whether or not this is a viable solution. And then you will also have the opportunity, same expectations, if there's a meeting that, hey, there's something financial, they're going to be on, and you're going to be able to talk to them, ask the questions that you would any finance director. That was key to any proposal that we put together, was that they're available to the board, they're available to department heads, just as if they were in an office down the hall. I apologize, I lost my train of thought there, but we caught the situation that was happening in a timely manner, and we moved quickly to adapt so that we weren't in any kind of deficit. I am not a finance director. I can make do with a lot of things, but when it comes to finances, I want to make sure that we are so beyond reproach that there's no question in anybody's mind.
I think we're all that way, in my opinion, we should be, but so.
Excellent questions for
Red, Jeremy, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I was looking at the numbers for the budget for the finance director, and it seems 82,000, that's not including benefits, so benefits, I'm just taking a rough guess, I mean, you're at 100 grand, a little over 100 grand probably.
About 120 to 140, depending on the.
Okay. And so for the rest of the year with Freeman, I mean, we're in April right now, you're looking at 115,000 for the rest of the year is what you're saying?
What's good?
A little under,
A
but
little under there, okay. So. Now is it almost like a break, I mean, at this point, right now, it's almost like a break even?
it's close. I mean, I think I've had this conversation with a few of you. No matter what we do at this point, we're going to have to invest more into our finance department. We saw what we could get at what we were paying, and it wasn't a plethora of experience. And we rolled the dice, tried to bring on a company. When you count in the money that we were going to have to invest in anybody to come up on board, then I would say it was absolutely a break even. If we actually found a highly qualified candidate at that rate, it would be a little bit of a savings to have the employee. But again, that's not what highly qualified finance directors are earning. We are well below our comparables, and our comparables are also struggling to find highly qualified candidates.
And I'm not happy that we're in this situation. I don't think anybody on this board is happy that we're in this situation. But the county finances, it's gotta be above reproach, and I'd say for the rest of the year, I think we probably need to, go with with Freeman, and you're happy with Freeman.
I am, our staff has already built a relationship with them, even though. And let's be clear, they were fully booked when we brought them on. They have been very responsive to our needs. They're working late hours for us. They're getting this done and not charging us extra that they certainly could in the situation, the 11th hour situation that we were in. I don't know how this next year will look. I think this is, at the very least, we can all be confident that everything's getting done correctly. Which is something you can't always say. What we'll discover over the next 7 months is this viable? Is this working? Is this working for staff? Because any contractual relationship ultimately puts more weight on administration. It just does, because we're managing some of the more details, puts more weight on different departments. But the expertise, I believe, is worth it. The knowledge that everything is in good hands. And then at budget time, like I said, once we get through that, I think it's an excellent time to take a look. We still will have a few more months of engagement with them, but it'll be a good opportunity to say, okay, where we're at. We've got time now. Is this working? And everybody's happy with it? And like you said, it's pretty much a break even. Or maybe this isn't working for the board. We don't feel like we're getting as much hands-on as what we wanted, or maybe it's working for staff. And we can say, you know what, let's put out for a finance director, or a situation where somebody at a township just so happens to be a retired, and again, nothing against the person. She seems like a wonderful person and a real go-getter type of person. But at this point, we need somebody walking in that knows how to do the job. The actual job, not experience relative to the job. But as I said, at the end of the year, it's either we didn't feel like it was working, or there was just a big desire to have somebody on staff. We could put back out, but still know that we're covered by this contract. And also, their bread and butter is ushering people back in. They do have some situations where they have a continued relationship as finance directors for municipalities, but where they really excel is, or what they do a lot of, is coming in, fixing issues, taking a look, setting good precedent, and then ushering in a new finance director. So at that time, the board determines that you want to make a change, then that would be, honestly, I wouldn't change how I would recommend this, whether we found somebody or whether we wanted to go out and seek somebody. That's still how we would want to do, is cover the situation. I do not want to be at a gap of 3 to 6 months where we're treading water again, when we haven't really fixed all the details that we needed to fix from the last time we were treading water. Makes sense.
Yeah. So when we hired contracted Raymond, did we look at other firms too? I mean, a lot of times if you're talking $100,000 thing, you look at bids or put it out for bid,
You do. I mean, our policy specifically allows us not to for professional services. And there's a specific reason for that, because not everybody is the same. There's dozens of financial firms, accounting firms like Raymond, but they all do different things. We're using one, Maynard State. Well, I'm gonna say one, but our auditors is a great example. And while they would be qualified to step in, they don't have that reputation for that personal touch that we're really looking for. Not to mention, I mean, you guys know, relationships are really key. And when we know somebody, we can have honest conversations with them, and know that they're gonna tell us how it is, honestly, that's huge. So that would be. That would be the primary reason why I wouldn't necessarily want to go out for RFP, because you might get answers, you might get somebody that's coming in a little bit lower. But beware, the lowest bid, right?
No, good. Pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, do what you should.
Sherry's still here with us. I mean, Sherry, any comment you want to make? And pardon me, Sherry, for a second. And tonight, Jeremy, you're just looking for some direction, from us, right?
I am, you guys are, I don't have a contract in front of you, I would bring that back to the next meeting. And again, any contract we do, just to put your minds at ease, would again be an hourly concept. This cost is based on an expectation of, we laid out an expectation of 16 hours a week that they would be working on directly on Antrim County items. Some of that will include, maybe, and I told them to expect a meeting a week, an hour meeting a week, where either they're talking with the board, talking with our staff, in addition to just the normal conversations and meetings that we would have. But 16 hours a week, extra time for budget, and some extra time for year-end closeout.
Sherry, any comments?
Right now, we're all putting a lot of hours in to play catch up. We do need experience moving forward so that we can trust the answers that we're being given for how things are booked. This is a path. I would hope in the future we would be able to bring someone in-house, but this would be a preferred path at this point in time in order to keep everything on rails.
Thank you. Not only, I do just want to, what I like about this suggestion from Jeremy as well is it does give me 6 months, or gives us 6 months to kind of see how this relationship works with a lack of better word, private company. And finally, my last comment is, remember, Jamie Hauserman, who we had here tonight, who is someone that we contracted with years ago. We used to have our own equalization department, or excuse me, equalization director. We decided to go with Jamie, and I think that's worked out swimmingly for us. So
we also contracted for our accounting services at 1.2, which that didn't go as swimmingly as I would have liked. So giving it a trial period to make sure that we're all comfortable with communication. Communication is going to be huge in getting answers in a timely manner, especially when we're depositing funds and there's some questions. So communication is going to be a big thing.
One other thing I wanted to just say to assure the board,
Jason,
I'm sorry.
You go, I just never come.
I hope this board understands at this point, I am absolutely committed to telling you the worst case scenario and then doing my best to make it much better outcomes. I've expressed this to Raymond, the staff as well. We expect the 16 hours, we expect these hours here and there. If we get to the point where we're expending 18 or 20 because this was worse than we were gonna do, we will pivot. And my staff will have to pick up more stuff to make sure that balances. Go ahead, Sherry.
And my staff too, or at least the seasoned staff that are there. Because I've already seen that, how to do reports. Employees are gonna contact probably in-house before they make a call or they call it outside, which that's just part of the give and take that we do pick up. We are picking up those pieces that possibly may be missing on that day-to-day, having someone here in the house. It currently is already happening. We'll just need to see at the seams if it's gonna break those seams or not. And depending on what people you have at different places, whether the experience is there or the experience is not there in order to do that assistance.
Chase.
No, it's something we gotta do. I mean, we don't wanna be, like Jeremy said, we've got this huge project. And we can't have any gaps anywhere. On the other end of it, if this works out, I mean, I don't wanna be in this situation again where we lost a pretty good one, hired somebody, now we're here again. I don't wanna do this every 2 years, you know what I mean? So if this works out, we have to look at the numbers, and I know that we like to save money, and I understand that, but Jeremy sees that these guys can, this is what they do. This is Jeremy's job to bring to us, then we have to start learning to trust. And, I just don't want us to get in trouble. We're here for the finances. If we have a company that's this is what they do for a living, and they have, just say they have 10 accountants working for them. They're at our disposal. And we, like you said, we'd never be able to pay for one of them with what we want to pay. So to have that expertise is worth way more than I think what people realize. So
Anything? Yes.
Just, I think it's a good sign that you've worked with them and you're recommending to continue working with them. That means you've learned their reputation, and I can't imagine having a conversation at the mental health board about how to keep costs down. Something like this, so.
All right. Oh, great.
No, we need to show our hands.
Show of hands to direct Jeremy to pursue contracting and finance director duties. Good, Jeremy?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. We need my meditation agreement. I got it out.
You did.
All
I
right.
want to see you do it.
All right, looking, this is from the county surveyor, looking for a motion to authorize the remonumentation program administrator to execute the 2026 survey remonumentation grant number BCC 26-05 agreement with the state of Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs with a total authorized budget of $42,534 and approve the appropriate budget amendments.
I'll save.
You make that motion,
I'll
Jake?
make that motion.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
There's a
Thank
second.
you.
I'll support. Thank you. It's moved to support it. Any questions?
Jeremy, real quick, yeah, you just want to explain this for the public, explain this.
Yeah, corners, things move, things change, it's a constant game that will never apparently stop, that by the time you get to the end, you're going back and double checking everything, but this is what establishes those boundaries. This is how we make sure your property is your property. It's absolutely paramount with how we establish ownership of our own homes and properties. And so it's key to keep that accurate. Back in the day, somebody moved to stone and now all of a sudden somebody's property changed. This is making sure that all those corners are absolutely accurate.
Thank you. It's moved to support. All those in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Moving on, grounds use request, Bible Baptist Church, looking for a motion to approve the Bible Baptist Church of Central Lakes request. The use of the front lawn space between the courthouse and the Antrim County Jail to host their rededicate 250 National Faith event on Sunday, May 17, 2026, from 3 to 4 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support. Supported questions.
Jeremy, it's not in here, but will we have our irrigation going by then that we'll have to turn that off?
I'm not certain, but we'll work that out with them.
Okay, great.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Move on to another discussion item. Jeremy submitted memorandum. Charis and I had talked to him about this. In discussing the county's relationship with the Antrim County Conservation District. Mike kind of alluded to this a little bit during his report. So Jeremy, you want to get us? Go ahead, Jeremy, start us.
Well, I know at the end of the year, got the contract back from Conservation District at the 11th hour. Board at the time, so several of the members had felt a little under the gun and concerned about that, clause that, required, the full execution of I'm sorry, these are the wrong words here. The full levy of millage for ACD, that was put in place many years ago, mainly to make sure that ACD didn't want to move into a contractual relationship with the county unless it knew that it could take care of all its bills. If I'm paying for half this person through the counties, I gotta pay the other half of the person for something else. There's been a lot of transition with the conservation district. Mike pointed it out. But you know, as your duty to set millages, I know that there's some concern that it's going in the right direction, and so we're just bringing this up for you guys to discuss.
Go ahead, Ken.
With the light of what's happened over there and how things are moving, I guess the right word would be moving forward. With Mike at the helm, it would be probably a good thing to. We had there in the contract as a 1-year out clause. It would make sense to me to start that process with the 1-year out and just let them know that if everything gets turned around, we'll just take that 1-year out thing and throw it in the garbage and we'll keep going on our contract. But if we don't do something now, then we still have a year out. And if we do it right now, then he's got a year. And I know Mike, in a year's time, he'll have it turned around and be steamship forward, you know. So I don't want to handcuff him. And I would be sad to see us cut him off at the legs when we are just trying to get him up to going. So when village comes up, I would be more advantageous to stay with the village they have and let Mike perform his miracles and move forward. But I would like to see us on this, it'd be nice to see us do the 1-year out clause, just to send them a message that we want them to get their crap together.
Which I think can be done.
Oh, yeah, there's no.
Cause it does, the Antrim Conservation District does great things for the county, there's no doubt. I mean, they've had lots of land, you know, there's lots of these parks because of that. And I'd hate to. I wanna see Mike turn it around, so.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Well, I was just gonna say that I guess my worry is Mike's planning to retire in September. He may stay on longer than that. I don't know what his plans are, but that's what he has told the Conservation District Board, is that he would like to slow down a little bit this fall. And the way they've gone the last 8 months, if they don't get a good person in there again, we are gonna have to do something, because I'm tired of hearing from folks that are upset about what's going on.
I don't think Mike's gonna leave. Hey,
No, for sure. And Mike slowing down is probably working harder than a lot of people will. Just because that guy doesn't stop, he's just.
Jeremy, is that something that we have to have a motion on to move that out clause, or?
I would prefer it, since it's an adjustment it's exercise on the contract.
But this is just discussion items, so we're gonna be looking at a show of hands to give Jeremy some direction, correct? Okay, hold on a second, Ray, any questions?
No, I'm good with what Terry came up with.
Cheers, you all set? And I just wanna echo again, the reason I brought this up with Jeremy was of my frustration with the conservation district prior to Mike's being involved as the interim director. So this is no criticism of Mike Merriweather. Certainly Adrian Wolf, no criticism of her or the board. I was just frustrated with Jeremy said, under the gun, and I really felt like in December I was put in a bad situation. We were put in a bad situation, and I don't want that to happen again. And so I certainly concur with Terry that let's give them a year to get things in order, and now they will understand that if they aren't, they know what's going to happen in a year. But so show of hands with, I mean, to give Jeremy some direction on that.
So just to be clear, you want me to draft a letter and send it? Maybe I'll run it past the chair, just before it goes out to make sure that it's expressing the desire of this board.
All right, thank you.
I just have one, if you don't mind, Mr.
Go ahead.
I know there was concern about them not supplying a budget. Would it be advantageous for the board to actually make a motion that they receive a budget from the conservation district for this year before that you start to set a millage, which you will be doing in the next month, so that you know exactly where those funds are gonna be going? They should have budget.
They should, like, when I was on the board, they spoke of it, so, I mean, I wasn't in the budget
Companies to
meeting.
get a budget every year
Yeah.
during the budget season. And maybe as a group, making that motion that you have to have a budget within the next month, because you're gonna be looking at villages that soon.
I think.
I was just gonna say their finances were in a mess, and you have somebody that makes a donation and puts money in a restricted fund. And a past director puts it in the general fund and uses it to pay payroll. That's not allowed. So that's just one example, there's more.
Now we're moving forward though, right? Now we're moving forward.
I'm good with directing Gerald to do.
Yeah.
Ask for a budget.
So budget good, yeah? All right, thank you. County Administrator's report, any questions?
Get along again.
Stuff happened.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, number two, any new communication on our 911 tower?
Oh, I thought I was gonna have so much good news for you guys.
Dealing with the FAA.
We made a big chunk of progress. We actually got FAA approval, so taking steps back for all this time, we're finally taking steps forward. I got some really unfortunate news today, though. So the FAA gave approval, FCC process started, but FCC needed, Michigan Department of Transportation to weigh in on the Tall Structures Act, prior to giving us a site license. We had, an opinion of, that we would, over the phone, that no problem, FAA approved, we're not gonna see any problems. Unfortunately, as we were pressing to get something in writing, they said, no, wait a minute, this is 10 feet over what our standards say. We can appeal that, and initial impression is that we would win that appeal. But the appeals board doesn't meet until mid-July. So realistically, our options are we hire somebody to take 20 feet off of the existing tower, or we trudge along and go through the appeal process. I will encourage every asset that we have, every person that we know to, certainly at the state level, have this conversation. This is an emergency tower. It's already been delayed by how many years? It's 10 feet. I mean, if I stand up and reach up in the air, I'm just shy, right? It was disappointing news today, but there's a way forward. Let me put it that way. There's a way forward. If the worst thing that we have to do was drop by 20 feet, we would still have a much taller tower, better function. I have zero interest in doing that. Given how much time and finances have already been invested in this. All I can say is we've waited this long. I'd rather get it right and finish this out strong, talking with the 911 director or assistant director. He felt the same way. So it is unfortunate. We are gonna see if there's any way any budging on that, if we understand it entirely. But at this point, it's looking like we're not gonna be able to make any on paper progress until July.
Um. I had a question about the parks report, and Jason maybe, Jason, we don't, what's the Lake Day Park? We don't, Lindsay had indicated that
No,
about reaching out for a lead, I reached out to DNR to see about our renewing our lease for the Wetzel Lake. I didn't even,
Yeah, we lease it from the state.
yeah, we go with this every, however many years, right?
Yeah, it's been decades.
Yeah.
But
No, we lease it.
And all we have to do is maintain it, and that's the lease.
Okay.
Okay.
I think, I'm sorry, any other questions from Jeremy? Sherry's still here, elected officials report, anything you want to add, Sherry? Chairman's report, I did mention to Leslie, I spoke with Truman Beckham, who is the county commissioner who represents Clearwater Township in Calcasas County. I talked to him today and they're having a meeting, Clearwater Township officials and Truman, as well as Leslie, if she's up to it. And I'll be joining them tomorrow in Rapid City, to speak with them. Any other various matters, right, Jairus? Eric,
No, good.
Jason, okay, last public comment tonight.
Hello.
Yes, John.
Well, I want to read something, attorneys as esquires are not citizens of the United States of America. The original 13th Amendment was specifically intended to keep bar members out of public office throughout America. But we've been in corporations since 1871, the Act of 1871, the bankruptcy of 1933. So everything is administrative, correct, Mr. Esquire? And then and we have not seen any court cases in the paper for two years since this whole project started. They used to be published. So we don't know who's incarcerated, who's not. And then Terry said last week to me that, oh, we'd have to transport these bad guys from down there to up here to take 2 officers. But there's this thing called Zoom. And I don't think many people are being transferred up here unless they're with a high profile fake kidnapping case. And that really brings attention over here to this area here. I don't know, you can't sell, you say you can't sell that land down there across from Meadowbrook? No one wants to buy it? Dave Saganic wanted to. No, we're not selling that. If the people of this county knew that that property was there, you could put a building on it that would incarcerate people, I think they'd be more happy than having this property here taken up with this safety center. And going back to the health department, they should be out by Antrim County Transportation. They're closer to a clinic, and give the sheriff this property here. That would be, I think, something ideal. And then we have, as anybody been monitoring the overflow pumps over here at the the water department? And I'm sure that they've been overflowing for a while, and that goes right into the wetlands and back into the river. And no one's talking about that part. But then we have this wonderful community being put up here. And I brought up water, putting a water tank up behind Family Fair. They water their roofs in the summertime to keep it cooled off. And where's all this stuff going from this free 30-year tax-free community? It's going down Genesee to a pumping station, and then across the river underneath. And I think that adding a water tank over behind Family Fair would be great for water pressure for the people that need it back in those days. And again, I don't know where Terry. He told me I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, I was in construction with a top road construction company downstate. And we did subdivisions and highways. And then I got into design, and I was working with the top decorator for Lee Iacocca's house and the house I was working in. So I know what ugly is, and this building is ugly. And I don't know who determined that was going to be a wonderful thing to do, especially with a brick would have cost $1 million more. And you get all this money they were on, and you couldn't do another brick job. I think Spence Brothers just got upset with all of y'all, and I don't blame them at all. We got to go down to the poop ponds and see how much poop is going into the wetlands.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Evening again. Wanted to thank you all for the clarification on the financial director deal that I brought up. Appreciated getting clarification on that. Thank you all for the work you do here. I appreciate Commissioner Rubing and Heffron for the efforts they put in on behalf of doing things like the tax cuts and stuff that I've watched them fight for. Wanted to touch real quick again, just finish up my comments on the jail. Again, some of that was a little cleared up during the discussion on that, but just wanted to note, NGOs, especially Christian NGOs, tend to have an extremely high rate of success in preventing recidivism among incarcerated individuals. And so I just wanted to encourage, rather than, if sounds like it's not actually going to be there, the mental health clinic attached to this thing, put in something like a chapel where these Christian NGOs and other NGOs can come in and work with these people and try to help them get their lives straightened out, rather than putting it all on a taxpayer program. So, and just one last quick note, something I was thinking about here for a while now. The county is a government, it's not a business. And I say that because while we do encourage financial responsibility, the goal is not to run on a profit. Having a slush fund in case of emergencies is great, but if we're running on a big enough profit, be great to see the taxes cut down to something more reasonable. Make it easier on the people. Be a little bit of a boost to the local economy. People have more money in their pockets to spend. You'll get some of that back in sales tax. But so
Thank you for joining us. Anyone else? Being no more public comment, then we are adjourned.
Okay.